Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. And before we get to our guest today, we have a big shout out for Living Sisu. Living Sisu is a platform and app that wants to give you all the tools to have success in your sport. Their main objective is to activate your lifestyle. So it's for active people. Enjoy discounts at companies like BioSteel, 30% off, Body Logics, the Goalie Guild, all his books are discounted. Roan, Lululemon for men, 20% off, online stretching programs with Eccentrics, 1 full month free. They got super silent massage guns, 20% off those. And it's a great quality. It's way less expensive than a Theragun, and it's great quality. So there's so many more discounts that you guys will need to just become a member to see. So they want to provide you with anything you need for success. So come join the community. I'm a part of it. A bunch of other athletes are a part of it. So it's free to join. It takes 20 seconds to get exclusive offers to your sport, and it's definitely worth it. So do us a huge favor and go sign up for Living Sisu's membership. It's free, takes 20 seconds. So go do it, and we'll see you there. Living Sisu is a great company. We know one of the co-founders, Zach Fricali. He's a great guy. He's the co-founder. He does a lot of live streams on Instagram at Living Sisu, and with a bunch of elite athletes, and you learn a lot from like the athletes' determination, their resiliency, everything to what made them become successful. So it's been a great experience so far. So go on. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. So go sign up. Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and in today's episode, we are joined by a very special guest, current professional goaltender, Trevor Gorsuch. Trevor is a current professional hockey goaltender in the East Coast Hockey League with the Kalamazoo Wings. He played this past season on 4 different teams within the SPHL and the ECHL. He played junior hockey in the North American Hockey League, the USHL, and the NA3HL, along with playing NCAA Division I hockey for 4 years with Western Michigan University before turning pro. So this is gonna be a fun episode. So welcome to the show, Trevor Gorsuch.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So how have you been? Like, summer's been a bit crazy with like the shorter off season, I guess you could say, with how the season went this year. So how's everything going with that?
Been good. It's good. I had to take a little time to get my body right. I had a little bit of a nagging injury for one of the teams I played with out in Utah, but nothing that didn't need anything major. Just time off, relax, let it heal, and then get back into it. Get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, for sure. Summer is the best time to just let the body heal from all the grind that you have to put your body through and the tolls that it puts on the body. Like, no better feeling than just refreshing during that summer break.
Oh God, especially after the way that this year was, not just for me, but for all sorts of guys. But, with me playing on 4 different teams and driving cross country, 3-4 times, like, body was just in shambles, I felt like, at the end of the season. So it was good to get this time to let the body rest, heal. And you know what, honestly, I'm more excited than I've been to come into a season than I have in the last couple of years. Just, taking that time, having such a, good year, even though it's stressful and, kind of a pain in the ass to travel all those places. But in the end, it was a lot of fun and a really cool experience. So made me excited and hungry for a full year again.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into talk about this season a little bit, like, can you give like our viewers like a little background information on yourself, like when you started playing hockey, why you started, and like like your path growing up as well?
So I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. 94 birth year. I know that makes me sound so old, but I grew up July birthday, so I've been going to Blues games since I was pretty much born. My mom always joked I was the only kid she'd ever seen that could sleep through a third period of a playoff game. So we were season ticket holders for a long time, and I grew up playing baseball and hockey. I was a pretty good ball player as well, but I just never had the full passion and love for baseball that I do for hockey. I was a power hitting left-handed hitter, and that's all I loved doing. I didn't love going to the ballpark and fielding, doing ground balls and all that. I just wanted to hit. And, I love everything about hockey. Ever since I was, 3 years old when I started skating, Just hockey has been a true love. But yeah, so I started skating when I was 3, played the next year, mini mites at 4. And for a lot of my career, I played up. I was always a bigger kid. So I played up a year. And then it was about 7 when I made my switch to goaltending as my first full year. And it's a pretty cool story, actually, how I did that is my dad and I, we went to a hockey camp. I believe it's still around. It's called Heartland Hockey Camp up in Minnesota area. And while we were there, I was kind of going through that decision process. Do I want to be a goalie? Do I want to be a player? Because, mini mites and whatever, you're always got the one kid that's rotating every game. And I'm sitting there trading away like my Capri Sun after the game. Like, hey, I'll give you that if you let me play goalie today. Like, I just had fun with it. I thought it was a blast. My dad's like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, oh, it's my turn. He said he didn't. So, and we met Curtis Joseph when we were at this camp. He was the instructor, like the special guest instructor. And we told him, I was a big fan because he played for the Blues when I was a little kid. And then, I just loved his work ethic and his story. And, he's like, all right, if you really are, wanting to be a goalie, play this next year, the year I was 6, play half the season as a forward or forward or defenseman, and then play the second half as a goalie. You still like it? Full next year, 7 years old, play full year as a goalie. You still like it? Run with it, go. But if you don't, you're only a year removed from playing player. So you're not far behind. You haven't lost anything, this, that, whatever. It's like, oh, okay. And I go out there and I play my first year at 7, and I'm now 27. So I've been playing goalie for 20 years now, and I haven't looked back. I haven't regretted the decision, and I love every minute of it. Yeah, in the intro, you said NA3. I wish you wouldn't know. That hurt my heart. No, not a big deal. So I played junior blues growing up, AAA. Moved away to play junior hockey when I was 17 years old. Moved away to Tri-City in the USHL. It was a little bit of an interesting situation. Went in and there was an older goalie and me, and they were like, yeah, we're going to have you come in and play 15 to 20 games in a 60-game season. I was like, hey, that's pretty good as a 17-year-old kid. That wasn't the case. We were terrible that year. We lost pretty much every game for the first half of the season that I was there, and I never saw the ice. I only ended up getting into 2 games. I started one against, at that time, they were a powerhouse, the Youngstown Phantoms. They had Scott Mayfield. They had a whole bunch of guys, and it was not a pretty game. We lost like 5-3, and I think 3 or 4 of the goals they scored were power play goals. So I was just like, oh, okay, I have no chance today.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I didn't really get a ton of opportunity there. And then they brought in another older goalie, another 20-year-old goalie. So I was barely even practicing. So I was like, guys, can I go somewhere to go back? Like, send me back to AAA in St. Louis, send me somewhere else in juniors. So that's when I went to the North American League, and I joined up in the great city of Flint, Michigan, and played for the Michigan Warriors, which unbelievable experience. The city was dicey, but playing there was unbelievable experience. I came in, and my coach there at the time was a man named Mo Mantha. And Mo is a character. Mo was a guy, he played with Lemieux, he played with Gretzky, longtime NHL guy. I mean, there's a video of him if you look up Mo Mantha. He skates in front of, I believe it's the Boston Bruins' bench, and he just starts, come on. He's challenging the entire bench.
Like the entire team.
No one answers the bell. So, I mean, that just shows you the level of just out there this guy was. And he ran our team like that. I mean, he was an intense guy, and, but he loved me, and he loved my work ethic and my attitude. And, Mo looked at me and was like, hey, it's your net. You're playing until they tell you you're not playing. And I was like, that's all I can ask for. And so I played out the rest of that season, played pretty well, not too great, not terrible, but not great. I played well enough, and Mo was like, hey, you're coming back next year. And next year, as a team, we were terrible. I had probably my best year, my juniors, was that year, which was actually ended up how I went to the NA3 for a quick little stint. I started off the season terrible. I was god awful, but Mo knew I was a good goalie, and I knew I had potential in this, that. So he sends me to the NA3 to play for the Battle Creek Revolution. And at that point in time, the team in Battle Creek hadn't won a game in 5 years and hadn't gotten a point in 3 years.
Wow.
And I go, this is the team I'm going to. And Mo was like, this is like a rehab stint for you. Like, you're going down there. I'm bringing a different goalie on the road trip instead of like that, along with your goalie partner. And I'm basically choosing which one of them is going to stay. You're coming back, but don't piss this opportunity away. Like, go down there and, get your mind right, get your game right. And I was like, and I could have pouted. I could have moped. I could have been like, oh man, F this, that, whatever. But I went down there and I even asked him, I was like, hey, can I go down a day early? I know I'm not playing I'm playing Friday, Saturday. Can I go down Thursday and practice? Like, would that be fun? He's like, yeah. So I go down there and I practice, and I don't give up a goal the entire day of practice. We play rebound at the end of the game, which anybody that hasn't played rebound, it's pretty much a version of fuck the goalie. I mean, you have no chance. Yeah. So I got to the point of I go up 6 rip in rebound, that I put my stick on top of the net, and I'm like, I'll play without a stick for the last 4 points, and I still won 10 rip. And I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting come Friday, Saturday. And I got them their first point in 3 years. We lost the first game 2-1 in OT, and then the next night we lost 3-2 late in the game. But I mean, it was great, and I saw, like, I'm not kidding, I think 80 something shots in 2 games. Like, they were bad. And my Mo comes back and gets the report, and I come storming into Mo's office. I know he's already probably talked to the coach before I've even gotten to the rink. I come into his office the next day, and I was like, you got a minute? And he's like, yeah, come on in. So I get in, I go, don't you ever fucking do that to me again. I don't care how bad I'm playing. Never fucking send me there again. And he's like, okay. He's like, that's what I wanted. He goes, you looked a little complacent to start the year. So he goes, I wanted you to hungry. And I was hungry. And we ended up, like I said, our team was terrible. We lost something like 40 something games out of a 60 game season by 1 goal or less. And like 30 of those went to a shootout. And I ended up making the North American Hockey League's top prospect tournament camp thing that they do, just because I had great numbers playing for a terrible team. And it was an unbelievable experience, and it helped me tremendously. I mean, I saw mid 30s to high 30 shots a game for 3 years playing for them. And then my last year of juniors went to the USHL for a couple stints, and I ended up getting my college scholarship to go to WMU from there, and I got noticed. I played some really good games in both Waterloo and Chicago, got the attention of Western. I was possibly one of the latest commitments you could ever have. I mean, I committed, what would that have been? April-ish, the end of the junior season, like regular season. I had like probably like 2 weeks where then it was like, oh, hey, yeah, you're coming in. I was like, oh, got it. So, and then being at Western, I played for Andy Murray, a longtime NHL coach. He just retired actually before this season. Had a great career coaching wise. He was an interesting coach. You hear a lot of stories from different guys, and you've heard him on, I think, Spit and Chicklets or, excuse me. But, he was an interesting guy to play for. But, at the end of the day, just like most coaches, you bust your ass, you put your head down and you work, he's going to love you. And that's what I did. But, I didn't get a ton of opportunity to play freshman year. I think I played 5 games, played in or started in and around there 5 games. Yeah. Played pretty well, got that opportunity. Unfortunately, I got the opportunity because my goalie partner, the junior on our team, went down and needed double hip surgery. Tore both labrums and had bone spurs in one hip, and it was tough to watch. I mean, he was a big guy too. He was like 6'6", and just watching him try to tough through it when you could just see he was in pain was hard. So he eventually was like, I can't do this. And then I came in and took over that backup role, got to play in a couple games. But sophomore year, we had a freshman come in that was named Ben Blacker. came in, stole the show, just played unbelievable right off the hop, and Andy loved him. He got mono pretty early in the season, so then I played, I want to say like 12 games or so, played pretty good amount of games and became the guy during that time. And then he got back and got healthy and took the reins over again, and either I think he was runner up that year in our conference, the NCHC, to Hunter Shepard for goalie of the year in our conference. So I mean, he had an unbelievable year, and you know that, and then that rolled over into junior year. He was still the guy, and I was just kind of there, and I didn't play many games, and that was really hard. And you know, it also was hard because I didn't adapt. I didn't change my game at all. I stuck with, in my brain, I was stubborn. I was like, I was good enough to get here. I don't need to change anything. Like I know. And it was a hard lesson to learn, going from what I said, 5 games to 12 games to 2 games played my junior year. And it was a kick in the teeth, and, you know, to go, okay, I need to change. I need to change because I don't want to be a bench, you know, riding the bench my senior year.
Yeah.
It's not what I want to do. And I had to take a really hard look at my game and realize I was too athletic. I was too scrambly. I was making saves way harder than I needed to be. And I had to really dial things back and you know, utilize my athleticism and my battle and my compete to when only needed, you know, make the simple saves. Simple stupid was a phrase I used all summer, just on repeat. Every time I went to start a drill was simple stupid, simple stupid. What is the easiest and the dumbest kind of thing I can do that is like brain dead, like get here, butterfly, get over there, butterfly. Like don't do anything crazy unless I need to. And you know, I flipped my career around to go from the year before 2 games to play 32 games my senior year in a 36 game season, and put up really good numbers, and you know, got the attention of a couple teams, and you know, then got the opportunity to go to Toledo. And that's a funny story in itself. We lost our first round of college playoffs to Colorado College. That ended my college season right then and there. And I was not happy about that. You know, we were a much better team. Colorado College was playing hot though. I mean, they had just beat Denver and Duluth back-to-back weekends before coming into playoffs. And I'm sitting there trying to tell our team, I was like, hey, they're the hottest team in the country. They just beat Denver back-to-back games, and then the weekend before that, Duluth. They're on a 4-game win streak playing against those teams, and we're on a 2-game win streak versus Miami of Ohio. You know, that's like little sisters of the poor. No offense to any Miami of Ohio players, but like, you know, there's a reason they left the NCHC, because they couldn't hack it. Sorry, not sorry. But so I'm trying to tell them this, and they're like, no, they're Colorado College. They're garbage. We beat them all year. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, we come into game 1. We're tied 1-1 late in the game. Turnover. 2-on-1. Tick, tick. Backdoor pass. One-timer. Lose. 2-1. Now, our boys come out fired up, pissed off. Hey, fuck this. We're not losing to this team.
Yeah.
We come out and spanked CC 5 or 6-2, game 2. And then we roller coastered right back down to, it's going to be easy. We spanked them. They pulled their starter. He's got nothing left. He's got no confidence. Here it comes. 2-2 late in the third. We turn the puck over. It's a 3-on-0. Nice little triangle pass. And somebody's calling me. There we go. Nice little triangle pass, tic-tac-toe in it, backdoor, game over, season over. And, you know, the other 3 seniors at the time, the other 3 guys in my class were Colt Conrad. He's in the Marlies in the Toronto Maple Leaf system. Corey Schooneman, he's with Calgary. And then Jade McMullen, he ended up retiring, just taking a normal job, but he played a year or so pro hockey. He signed with Kalamazoo. And 3.5 weeks left in the season. Nobody's looking for goalies. So I'm like, okay, I get to be a college kid for the first time in my 4 years. I get to actually not have to worry about hockey. I get to be a normal person, go to class, show to class hungover or drunk. Who knows? You know, I was a 21-year-old freshman, and so I was a legal age drinker my entire college career, but never got to be that normal college kid.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I get to do this. So me and the rest of my class, the rest of my team, we go on like a 10-day bender of just terrible food, like drinking every night, this, that, and whatever. And I wake up after on the 11th day, and I'm like, okay, I need to get my life together. Like I've been eating like shit. I need to get a little bit, just to go to the gym and just, run on the treadmill or the elliptical, just to get a sweat, do some stretching, do something athletic. And as I'm having this thought, my phone rings, and it's my agent. He goes, "Hey, may have found you a place to play." I'm like, okay. And they're like, "Yeah, they might need you tonight." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I had to break the truth. I was like, "I haven't skated in 10 days. I've been doing nothing. Like, this probably is not going to go well." And he's like, "Okay, I'll call them back, see if they actually need you tonight. But if for now, get on the ice, get a skate." He hangs up. I immediately put in our team group chat. I was like, "Hey, I might be going to play pro. I need a skate." I had almost the entire team of guys that hadn't left show up to the rink, which is right across from where my apartment was, and they ran me through an hour skate. And our team goalie coach shows up, runs me through a skate, and I get off the ice right as my agent's calling me. He goes, "Okay, they don't need you tonight, but they want you to come tonight because you're playing tomorrow." And I was like, okay. So the situation is both goalies in Toledo had gotten called up. So Jimmy Howard and then one of the goalies in Grand Rapids had both gotten hurt in the same night. So Pat Nagel and Caden Fulcher, who were the goalies in Toledo, were both getting called up right away. Now Nagel was on a 2-way deal with Grand Rapids and Toledo, so he was going to Toledo, and Fulcher was on his entry level deal. So he went all the way up and was just backing up in the Wings. So he's up there. He's making Showtime money. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I come right into Toledo, get a morning skate the next day. And as I'm doing the morning skate, one of the guys goes, "Oh, it's going to be a little bit of a baptism by fire tonight." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" Like, it's just, I get, like, I haven't played a pro game, but, like, what do you mean? He's like, we're playing Cincinnati. And I go, okay. And he goes, "They're the best team in the league. They're like one win away from capturing the I forget what it's called in the coast, but the like the President's Trophy for the best record and best team in the league." And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is who I'm making my pro debut against. I've skated now twice in over a week. Like, this is who we're going with. Got it. Okay." Go out, and nerves were there in the beginning, but luckily the first shot of the game, guy walks over the blue line, just rips a clapper right into my glove. And I'm like, I got this. And go out and win 2-1 in overtime in my first pro game. And I was like, wow, this wasn't bad. I was pretty good. And I played another 3 games. So I ended up playing 4 of the last 5 games for Toledo that year. And the only loss was against Cincinnati in Cincinnati. We lost 3-2, and they just outplayed us. And it was a good night, but it was a big learning. It was huge difference I noticed between like pro and college. Like, and it was, and then I've seen, I backed up for the Wolves, not last year, but the year before. I was there for 2 games. I backed up 1, and even there it was different. Like, it was just more controlled, more pace. Like, it was faster, but it was also more controlled, looking for that right opportunity, that right moment. And I mean, because there was a point in the Cincinnati game where a guy won the puck off the draw, went to the guy on the wall, and he walks all the way around the top of the circle, keeps walking. He's right between the hash marks, still hasn't shot, walks to the other like face-off dot. And I'm like, college, he would have shot like 9 times by now. Like, it would have been shot. And no, this guy was just looking for the perfect opportunity, got to the other wall, rims it around to his defenseman. I was like, what just happened? Why didn't I see a shot there? You had a clear lane right in the hash marks. But so it was very unique and cool opportunity. And, ended up getting a lot of kind of firsts out of the way. First win, first loss. first shutout. My last game I played with Toledo, we were up in Brampton, and it was right after the night after we had just played Brampton at home, and I didn't play the home game. So that one was on. So that was so we had played 3 games in 3 nights in 3 cities, and my coach was like, "You're not playing. You're not playing game 2." So we were playing in Wheeling. We played in Wheeling, West Virginia. Drove back to Toledo. Played Brampton in Toledo. Then raced Brampton back to Brampton to play them on like a 3 or 4 o'clock game the next day.
Wow.
So he's like, "You're not playing." He goes, "I don't care what the score is. You're not going to play game 2. You're not playing the home game." I was like, "Okay." So Walleye legend Jeff Lurg was like my emergency backup. Like, and the coach was like, "I don't care what the score is. You're playing every game except for like that last home game." He's like, Lurgy tried to go over in Europe and play one more pro year. He got hurt, and he's like, "That's not how I wanted to end my career." So he kind of was like, "Guys, I would love to play one more game for Toledo. You guys were so great to me or so good to me. I want to just play one more game." And they even asked me, they were like, "Hey, are you okay? Like Lurgy playing?" I was like, yeah, of course let Lurgy play. Like Lurgy's one of the greatest and nicest guys I've ever met. Just a great teammate, workhorse, works his ass off. Even though he's past his prime of game, and that's not an insult or shot at Lurgy. Lurgy would say that about himself, but Lurgy was just an unbelievable guy and a workhorse, and he deserved that game for everything he'd done and helped with the Walleye. And he played well. I mean, I think we lost, I want to say 5 or 6-3, but he made like 58 saves or something. So he had a hell of a night. But so that was a great opportunity. We get into Brampton at like 3 a.m, and then we go right to the hotel. And it's like, "All right, hey, wake up, and you're going to be on your own for a breakfast at like 10. And then we got a bus to the rink at like 12 for the 4 o'clock game or whatever." So it was like, this is ridiculous. And, I didn't even really realize I was having such a good game, like a shutout going, until like, I don't know. We scored the second goal of the game. It was a 1-0 game till like 8 minutes left in the third period, and we score. And I give it a fist pump, and I look up and I go, why does it say 2-0? Like, I legitimately thought I had gotten scored on. I didn't realize. I thought we were like tied, and I was like, huh, okay. And then the clock just kept dropping. I was like, okay, we're getting closer to here. We are getting, holy shit, this is going to happen. And then it did. And, it was a really cool way to end my first stint playing pro. On the way back, Waddy was trying to call the league and try to figure out if there was any way I could stay on for the playoff run. And there ended up not being one. And, it would have been a cool playoff run to stay on. That was the year that the Walleye went all the way to the Kelly Cup finals and ended up losing in Game 7 to Newfoundland. And, we were a good team. We were a really good team. So the second year, then I started out in Reading. Really cool opportunity. Supposed to be me and an entry-level guy, but unfortunately, plans change, and they ended up sending another entry-level guy over there. And so then I was that third man out. And I stuck it out there as long as I could, and, did as much as I could. And finally they were like, we don't want to, keep paying a guy that's not going to play. I'm like, well, that's not really my fault. I want to play. It's not like I'm hurt. So they end up releasing me or sending me to the SPHL. They send me down to Fayetteville. And that was a really cool opportunity. Fayetteville was a great place. We were right down there near, what is that? Fort Briggs, I think. That's going to really piss off a lot of military people if I got that wrong. It's one of the biggest military bases down there. And on some days when we couldn't actually practice at our own arena, if we had like events going on, we would go on to the military base and practice there. And so it was just really unique, and it was really kind of a cool situation, and the fans were electric there. I was only there for a short bit of time, and then came back to Toledo. and played really well in the game I played there. I played against Fort Wayne, won a huge game, 3-2 in overtime. And then that was the night, or no, in shootout, 3-2 in a shootout. Because then that was the night that I got a call from the Vegas Golden Knights goalie coaching guy, development guy, who had asked if I would be interested in coming up and backing up for the Wolves, because that was right around the time that Fleury had declined the All-Star game invite, so he had to serve his 1-game suspension. So Donsk was going up to back up or be up with Vegas, and they just had, Garrett Sparks. So they're like, yeah, you'd be coming in to back up Sparksy, and, so on and so forth. I was like, all right, sweet. So I took that opportunity, came in, got to skate, got to practice 2 days with them. Felt really good out there, looked really good. And then, we get to the game, and, the Wolves, we were getting a little roughed up by Manitoba, and we're going into the dressing room after the second period. And I think we were down like 4-1 or something. It wasn't close, but it wasn't out of hand yet. And everybody's like, Gorsh, you might be going in. Like, you might be playing, like, kind of thing. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And so, like, and if that had happened, and even just saying it, in the span of a week, I went from the SPHL to the ECHL to the NAH or to the AHL in just a week. I just climbed that ladder. Now, I didn't get to play, and I really was hoping I would, or, excited and just thinking about it. And unfortunately, as soon as I came back to Toledo, was right around the time that COVID cut the season. And it was just, that sucked. We played one more game where we had no fans in the building, and that was the weirdest and most miserable experience I think I've ever played. Like, I can completely understand why guys hated doing that in the playoffs. The NHL guys, like, it was terrible. Like, we didn't even get the pumped in crowd noise. Like, we were stone cold silent until, like, we scored, and then we had our ungodly loud goal horn go off, and it's like there's no one in the crowd, so it's just like, okay, this is stupid. And so it was almost at that point, it was a better option to just cancel, and because none of us wanted to play a game in front of no fans. Like, that was terrible.
Yeah.
So, and then last year we were all set and ready to go. We were ready to go. Toledo was ready to go. And then the Ohio governor just decided to pull the rug out from underneath of us. And he originally said we were allowed 3,000 fans in a 9,000 person arena. And we were getting ready to call in, and they, he goes, cut a zero off the end of that number. We're only going to let you have 300 fans.
Wow.
And our owners and everybody were very upfront and honest with us, and they're like, guys, we can't afford to do that. We were ready to run at the loss with having 3,000 fans, but just 300 is not possible. And I was like, we all understood. So at that point, we all became free agents. My dad and I jokingly like to say I became like an Old West hired gun. Teams would call and be like, hey, we need a goalie to come down here while our starter's hurt, or we just lost our affiliate guy. We only have one goalie. Like, so I was like, all right. So I went down to Jacksonville, and I was down there in Jacksonville with Kyle Kaiser, who's a Boston Bruins prospect. I skate with Kaiser. He's a great guy, works his butt off, super talented goalie. And, we were down there, and I didn't end up playing any games while I was there, but I was great to be around a team again and have that experience. But it also gave me an idea of what to expect if I did go to another team with all the COVID protocols and everything that we were promised. And some of it wasn't seen and other things were. But then went out to Salt Lake City, Utah, and played for the Grizzlies. Again, really cool opportunity in a really cool city. That place was beautiful. I'd say the only thing that sucked was driving out there in a blizzard. There was right around the time that I was going out there, there was that massive blizzard that was hitting that area over there, and especially hit like Denver super hard. And it was like, okay, how am I going to figure this one out? And you're starting to figure out when you're looking at a map, you're like, okay, I'm going more south when I need to go north, but I know it's going to work out in the end. So we're from there. So from there, then down to Macon, Georgia, another cross country trip. I was in Macon for 6 days, played 2 games and played well, felt really good, and, felt good to get back on the ice and playing again and everything. And then from there, I went to Fort Wayne and went right into a situation. They're like, hey, we have nobody. We need you to play, and you're going to play and go for it. And that's what I did. I played, what did I say? I think 5 games, I think, for Fort Wayne this past year, and went 4-1 with 3 road games, and ended up winning goalie of the week while I was there once. And again, just kind of ran into the situation of, at the time, my rights were protected by Toledo for this upcoming year at the time. And that obviously changed, but I was still in that way protected by Toledo. And they had signed Robbie Baydoun right out of Wisconsin. He was a free agent at the end of the year, so they didn't want to let him go. And then they also had, oh God, drawing a blank on his name right now, Dylan Ferguson. They had Dylan Ferguson, the Vegas Golden Knights prospect, who was there, and they obviously, can't let go of Fergs. So they were like, Gorse, unfortunately, like, we got to let you go. You were great for us, this, that, and whatever. And I was like, you know what? I've had a good year. Had a good year. I got to see a lot of teams. I got to play a lot of different teams and see a lot of different guys that I've never seen before, whatever. And it was a really cool experience and opportunity. And I was like, I think I can take this as a win. I put up good numbers, and, and I started getting my mind right and my body right to go back to Toledo. And unfortunately, just too many goalies in the Red Wing system after their draft. And then, not enough room, because they were already told they were going to get Christopoulos back, and then probably going to get an affiliate goalie. So they're like, we can't carry 3. And I was like, I understand. And, the coach with Toledo, Dan Watson, possibly one of the greatest coaches I've played for. Just very, very open, very honest, very genuine. So he was like, Gorse, we love you, and we love you as a player and as a person. It's just not in the cards. And I was like, I get it. And he's like, I want you to find a spot. I don't want you to be sitting around with maybe you're not going to have a team, kind of like waiting around. And so when Kalamazoo called, it was the right opportunity in the right place. It's same city. I played 4 years of college hockey. I got a lot of friends there, know a lot of people, and I'm familiar with the area. So it's not like I need to learn a whole new area. So it's I'm excited for it. And, especially excited to work with our goalie coach, who is also our assistant coach at Kalamazoo. His name's Joel Martin, former pro goalie, finished out his career for the K Wings. And, he has a very good relationship and used to work out and train with my current goalie coach, a guy named AJ Walshak up in the Wixom area. He was formerly the Saginaw Spirit goalie coach. I know there was talks at one point of possibly becoming the goalie coach at University of Michigan. Not really sure if that's still on the table, but he's a great goalie coach. Him and Manny Legacy were partners for a while. So they all know each other. Those 3 guys know each other, know how to work too well together. And so I'm just excited to get to a season and get to be with a coach where he actually understands goalies and isn't just like, hey, stop the puck.
Yeah, exactly. That's an incredible path, and just you're waiting for that opportunity, and those opportunities have come to you. Take full advantage of it. Like, you just got sent down a few times to the NA3 and then to the SB, and like, you didn't. A lot of people could have just pouted about it, but you took that opportunity as a way to just help yourself get better, help yourself shape up your game and develop a little bit more. And it's proven that it helped you. So like, that's what people should take out, is like, take the most out of every opportunity given, even if you're not at that level that you want to be.
Yeah, that's just I attribute that a lot to how I was raised. My parents were, very hardworking people. They always made me and my sister work for what we wanted. I not saying, I lived back in the era of goaltending where, there wasn't a lot of, it was like, wasn't the new high density pads. It was like, okay, you started feeling pucks after a couple months. And it was like, I had to work my butt off to prove like, okay, hey, I need new gear or this, that, and whatever. But it wasn't like they would hold it over my head that I couldn't do it or couldn't get it. My dad is I come from a very athletic family. My dad played pro tennis back in the 70s. His dad had a couple pro boxing fights. A lot of cousins on my dad's side played minor league pro ball. My dad's uncle won Wimbledon way, way, way back in the day. But I come from a very athletic family, so we are athletes and competitive to our core, and we aren't the kind of people that just quit. Even if we're getting with the results we want, and to this now, whatever. Sometimes we have to be told, hey, you have to stop. Like so, take time. You have to take time off. It's like, no, I don't want to take time off. I want to just go. And so, I took all of those opportunities, and that's how I describe them. Those people would say setbacks, sent down, whatever. It's corny and it's cheesy, but I took those as opportunities to prove I'm good enough. I prove that I belonged where I was at. I can go farther. I can go past. And instead of sitting there wallowing in pity and having a pity party for myself, it's my nature to just kind of get angry and be like, okay, hey, I'm gonna show you. I find a target, someone to dial it at, even if it's not actually them, but it's maybe just the person that told me, like, hey, I'm sending you down, or hey, this, like, it's like, hey, I'm showing you. And that's just how we are, and that's how my family is. And so that's the biggest thing that I try to impress upon people is, yeah, I've had a crazy path, and I've had, some interesting run-ins with different coaches and things and stories that, my mom likes to joke about, that I should write a book or collection of stories of all these things that I've gone through. But it's one of those where it's like, you never stop the grind. The grind never stops, and you just got to keep rolling with every punch. And the more you roll with the punches, the easier it gets to take them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I love that because like you're like just family and like that support system's huge for any athlete and any person. Like once you get that support, like you don't like everything just continues and like you're able to push through like the hardships of
Mhm.
whatever you're doing and the work that you're putting in. And it's a grind. Like there's no lying there. Like everything you do is a grind. Being a goaltender is a grind, and it takes a toll on your body. But like with that work ethic and that your family
Mhm.
put into you, like it definitely helps you like stay committed to your game and committed to your craft.
Oh, for sure. And I would say my support system, not just my family, but my girlfriend, and you know, I have my family, my friends, and my girlfriend. Like I have some of the most supportive people I can surround myself with, and I try to only surround myself by those kind of people. And when I say that, I don't surround myself with the people that are only gonna kiss my ass. No, if there's a harsher critic, it's not my father or my mother or my sister. They will call me on my bullshit and just be like, you were terrible, like you were bad tonight. And I was like, yeah, no thanks, no, I couldn't tell by the 6-1 score. Like, so I will never have a more harsh critic obviously than yourself as an athlete, but I will also these my support system is right there to pat me on the back, to build me up if I have fallen or have had a bad game. They're there to support me, to bring me back to, okay, so reset, go back to work, go back to what works, go back to this, do what you need to do to get better. And they do anything and everything that they can to support me in every aspect. So um, you know, finding people in your life that bring positivity and constructive criticism is way more important than just having a ton of people around you. Having, even if it's just a select few, a small number of people, that small number of people means way more than having millions of people around you. But you don't know who's there to actually care about you, who's there to stab you in the back. So
Yeah, exactly. And like I have like that same thing where like that support system, like I surround myself with like the best people possible, but also people that won't bullshit you. Like whenever like I skate with some of my buddies, like we literally like text each other and like discuss like how the skate went. Like we both tell each other like don't bullshit me, like tell it how it is, and just because if we want to get better, and like you're not going to get better if people just sugarcoat everything. Like
exactly.
you need to know like what you have to work on, how people thought you did, and just work on what you can get better at if you didn't do something that well that day.
Oh, 100%. I try to, I try to ask shooters, even on, on drill, like, I'm skating with my goalie coach and stuff. And we have some great shooters that come out. Just the other day, I had a kid named Hunter Skinner, Rangers draft pick. He's going to be playing in the AHL next year. With his talent, could be up there in the big leagues soon. But, he's out there and, he can pick corners with the best of them. And he's got a great shot, great release. And even if he doesn't beat me with the shot or score, I'll sometimes go and poke his brain. I'll be like, hey, what'd you see? Was I off my angle? Did I really have to shift into that save? Or was I cheating? Did I, were you trying to outthink me cheating into the save? Like, and then vice versa. When they score, I go, okay, what was I doing? And they're like, oh, you had the whole left side wide open, or you had it taken away. I just put it in an area and it just beats you. And that's the best kind of learning you can get, is when you have that open-ended conversation. And I try to impress upon that to any young goalie or any player that wants to get better, is don't be afraid to ask questions. Yes, you got to where you're at because of your skill and what's gotten you there, but every level gets harder. Every level, the funnel to move up gets smaller. So if you're constantly staying the same, you're not getting better, and you're not helping your chances.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to keep doing whatever you can to get better, because that funnel, like you said, just keep getting smaller as you go up the levels, and it gets harder and harder every year to find somewhere and go up another level.
Exactly. And especially in this climate where goalies are getting to be an absolute premium, and younger and younger goalies from all over the world are just becoming so freaking good. Like, it's stupid. Like, there was a kid I skate with over with AJ, name's Trey Augustine. Kid might be the best 15, 16, I think, yeah, 16 youths goalie I've seen in the world. Like, he's going to be playing for USA next year, and this kid is lights out. I mean, he is just, and it's like, and he's been doing the stuff with AJ that we do, the skating technique and all this, since he was, like 10. And I go out there and I've only been doing it for a couple of years, and he puts me to shame, and I'm supposed to be the pro, and he's going to be playing for, USA. But it's like, there's a difference between that. And it's like, I'm trying to be better in that, and like, he's trying to be better in certain ones. So we really enjoy skating with each other, because I can sit there and I can watch how he skates and how he moves, and I can learn, and then he can watch some of the things I do and learn from that. And it's great. And but like you said, it gets harder and harder every time and every year, especially with more and more goalies just moving up every year.
Yeah, exactly. Being a student of the game, like you're never too old, you're never too young to learn something new. Like I've like seen and heard guys say from the podcast like that they're like one of the older guys and they still learn things every day, whether from the younger generation or just from the team in general. Like you're never too young to you're never too old to learn something, and you
Oh,
just need to be a student of the game there.
and it doesn't always have to be, like hockey related. It could even be, how to take care of your body better, some stretching, doing some, not necessarily yoga, but doing dynamic stretching, some dynamic warm up things that might loosen up your hips a little bit more. Things that like you don't think about, like this off season, I've really been working. Our trainer got us into doing more ankle mobility and stuff that like I've never thought about, but now that I've been doing it, I've realized how much better my ankle mobility is in and around the post and doing those post work plays. And it's just made a world of a difference, doing the ankle mobility and how important the ankle mobility is to all the other forms of mobility. And again, it sounds corny and stupid, but how everything is connected. So it's, 27 years old, and I'm like, okay, I got good stretching mobility, I've got good knee mobility, hip mobility, this, that, whatever. And now he's like, oh, we're gonna do some ankle mobility. I'm like, fucking ankle mobility? Who does ankle mobility? Yeah, I want to sit there and have a black band pulling my foot down and I'm like flexing it back. And I'm like, that's stupid. And then you realize what you're doing. You're like, oh, that's loosening up my calf. That's my hamstrings. That's everything. And you're like, oh, okay. So yeah, just constantly being open to learn and getting that advice and that help is paramount.
Yeah, exactly. And just like for recovery base too, and like warm ups, like it goaltending takes a toll on the body. Like there's no question about it. And like especially when you're playing every other day, every other game, every game, like it's gonna be hard on your body no matter what.
Yeah.
And you just need to do stuff to help yourself prepare before the game and then after the game as well, so you don't get injured.
Exactly. No, that was a big thing when I was younger. You never think about stretching before or after, and then as you get a little bit older, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I really gotta stretch before. And then you get a little bit older, and you're like, okay, I really got to stretch before. And then it finally hits you, like you take one game off from like stretching, or you realize you come to the rink after a game and you're still really sore, and you're like, shit, I finally gotten to the age that I need to stretch after the game to make sure I feel better for tomorrow. And it's a never ending process. I feel like I wake up in the morning, stretch, go to work out, stretch, come back, go do something else, like go play golf, stretch. And it's like, I'm stretching like 5-6 times a day. And I'm like, is this my life now until I finally retire and stop playing? And it is. And that's the biggest thing, is like the way to help yourself is just continually keep a pattern and a rotation of things.
Yeah, exactly. And like when I was 16, like I didn't have to like do like this deep stretching or anything like that, and just like I could just go on the ice, like don't need a big warm up. But now at 21, like I've realized that I have like a whole stretching routine before and after the games, and just during like pregame warm ups, like I need to stretch for a while before like getting anything able to move quick and just react like you should as a goaltender.
Yeah, it's definitely different when you go through those, but it gets easier once you find that routine, that pattern that you like. It just becomes almost muscle memory, that then you just start doing it. You'll sit down on the floor, or, you'll bend down to pick up something, and you're like, let me just rotate around, and you just like start stretching out your hamstrings and whatever, and you're like, wow, I don't need to be doing this right now, but you do. And that's a great way to continue your career, to keep your body and your mind, is just to constantly be, keeping everything elastic.
Yeah, exactly. And just I have a few more questions for we wrap things up here. And like so like what has been like some of the biggest things you've learned throughout your entire hockey career that you want to explain, that you want to tell like all the younger goalies, like goalies looking to get to that next level?
Well, the simplest one, and I try to tell this to everybody, the biggest thing that you can control every day is your work ethic.
Yeah.
How hard you work, how hard you push yourself, how hard you do it in the gym, how hard you do it on the ice, how hard you do, you take your off ice conditioning and your stretching and everything into consideration. How hard you work at doing all of that the right way is something you can control. Things you can't control, like making saves every day. Like, there's days that like you're not going to make saves. You're not going to score as a shooter, but what you can control is working your ass off. You can battle, you can grind through it. I mean, there were days at college where I was so bad, like trying to make like I practice, and I was just getting beat left and right, that I went old school. I start throwing out pad stacks. I start throwing windmills, poke checks, anything to make a save. That's like, okay, I'm terrible today. I know I'm bad, but I'm still going to battle. I'm still going to compete. I'm still going to work. And that's the biggest thing, is always work. You work your ass off. That'll, talent will only take you, but an effort and your work ethic will take you farther than sometimes talent. Something else. always being open to suggestions, even if sounds really dumb. Like I said, ankle mobility. Okay. It sounds really stupid when you think about it, when you first say it, but then as you think about it, and you do it, you realize the benefits of it. And, for a while I was really stubborn. I was really stupid about changing my game, becoming more streamlined, more controlled is what I like to call it. And, I was really dumb with that. I didn't take that advice from people. I didn't listen to that. I thought I was good enough because I was gotten to that level already. And I was like, I don't need to change. I'm already here. And it's like, you guys just, like, my mindset was, you guys just need to pull your head out of your ass and play me. And it's like, no, there's a reason you're not on the bench. You're on the bench. You're not in the net. So you're making everything harder on yourself. Like, yeah, you'll make a great first save, but then you can't get to the second save. And you're like, oh shit. Okay. So I found, always take someone's advice, like listen to new ideas, take advice, give it a try, do it once, do it twice. If it doesn't work for you, then you can throw it out the window. But
At
if
least you tried it.
At least you tried it. Now I won't, don't ever let my girlfriend hear that, because she'll be like, what about food? No, food's different. Food is different. You stick with your guns on food. Okay. That's all I'll say. But in sports and everything, I had a goalie coach back in juniors that was still trying to teach me the stand-up way of coming out, C-cutting, stop both feet, and come back. And I was like, you're shitting me, right? This is the year 2015. Nobody does this. And he's like, so I was like, okay, so I do it. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm athletic enough, I can do this, but that's not how hockey is played anymore.
Yeah.
And so, but I did it, So that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give, is to listen to people's criticism, listen to people's advice, listen to people's ideas, give them a try. If they work, great. You can implement it. You can keep it. You can do whatever. If it doesn't work, keep it around a bit, because you never know when or if it might need to be, or it might work, in today's society of goaltending. The RVH is the big thing. To explain it to my dad, I always call the butterfly into the post. The RVH is like the godsend, the Bible of goaltending now. And that means the, whatever it is the VH, just the regular one, leg up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Post leg up. It shows you how old I am. It was still called post leg up. Post leg up. I played through that. Like I've played through a couple different eras of goaltending where it was like just butterfly, dive, flop, and do whatever, to a little bit of lateral movement, slides and stuff, to post leg up, to now RVH. And, post leg up is almost irrelevant in today's game. But a phrase I learned was, you can never have too many tools in your toolbox. So your mind is like your toolbox. All these different ways of playing, playing a shot, playing an opportunity, this, that, and whatever. All these different ideas, different ways of stretching, different ways to therapy, different ways to recover. All can be, whether or not you like them on a daily basis, always kind of just keep it up there, because you never know when that might be useful, or you might come across somebody and be like, hey, I don't personally do this. I don't like to do it, but this is a type of therapy I was told you can try for this. You can help someone else. So those are some of the biggest pieces of advice I can say for younger goal generations, even current generations of goalies. I try to, anybody my age that's maybe, wants to listen and will actually take a step out of their ego, and unfortunately we all have that. We all have an ego. We all have our it's very hard to check ego at the door and go, what can I do to change?
Yeah.
Or help me, to ask for help. Like that's a hard one. But if you can check your ego at the door and ask your peers or even people above you to, better than you for advice, for help, that you're already on a better path than most people, because most people can't ask for help. They just can't.
Yeah, that's some great advice right there, especially like the control, what you can control, because what you can only control like what you can't control, and you can't really get upset about what you can't control, because that would mess up your game. Like, you just got to focus on what you can do at that moment. Just do anything you can to stop the puck, I guess you could say, and just like some of the uncontrollables you obviously can't control, so you can't worry and stress about those situations.
Yeah, no, it's, the amount of times that you'll sit there and over the course of your career, you'll get 3-on-0s, 4-on-0s. I've had a 5-on-0 once in my life.
Wow.
Yeah. Whole line changed, and then two guys tripped over each other in the far end. So it was a 5-on-0. And, but again, you can't do anything about that. All I can control is what happens in that blue crease. And if I'm sitting there, to be completely frank, with my stick up my ass, then that's my fault. But if I'm sitting there and I battle and I'm making a Herculean effort to try and make that save, or I put 100% effort into every rep or every shot or every opportunity, then I can look myself in the mirror and go, okay, you did your best. You did everything you could today to succeed. Now, did your team help you? No. Or, yeah, they did. They scored 4 goals and we won. But you can't control that. You can control that easiest sentiment of how hard you work, how hard you compete. And, like I said, at the end of the day, if you can look yourself in the mirror and go, did you do your best? And you can answer honestly to yourself, then that's all you got. And that's all you need. And that's the only opinion that truly matters. Yeah. Will there maybe be advice that you can get from other people to like help you and like, hey, this is how you got scored on, let's work on that? 100%. But if your work ethic was there, that's the only person you got to answer to, because you can't lie to yourself and you can't, defame yourself. Yeah. You got to look at yourself and go, this is what I did.
Yeah, exactly. I love that, because there's nothing more that you can do as long as you can look at yourself in the mirror, like you said, and just say that you went out there, did your best, and whatever happened. As long as you tried and did your absolute best, like that's all that matters.
Yep.
So my next question for you is like, when you first became a pro, like what was your first like what the fuck moment?
Well, I kind of told you my first what the fuck moment, a little bit of the baptism by fire and just like, oh, you're playing the best team in the league. But I'd say my truly what the fuck moment was, if you've listened to the Minor League Madness podcast with Braden Lowe, I was on there it is. I was on Reading Royals with Losey and Mitchell. And so that brawl that they had in the preseason game versus Adirondack, I'm on the bench. And I'm not playing that game because I'm playing the next game in Adirondack. And I'm watching this all unfold, brawl after brawl. Losey's coming off like eye sliced open, black eye, bleeding everywhere. Mitchie's hands are just gushing. And I'm like, holy shit, this is a preseason game. And we're all of a sudden, like, we are nobody on our bench. I mean, we have like 2 defensemen and like maybe 6 forwards. And our assistant coach, Nick Luco, who's, I believe he just took the assistant job down in Jacksonville, looks down at me and goes, when was the last time you played forward? Or skated out? And I was like, what? And he goes, might need you for the third. And I was like, holy shit. Wow. It's like, I haven't skated out since I was like 12 years old. Now, I hope to God he was kidding. But the looking at the numbers that we had, I mean, like I said, we had 2 or 3 defensemen. We had like 6 forwards, because we had not just those guys get kicked out. We had guys that like tweaked something, so they left the game just out of like preventative injury wise. And it was a shit show. So
what a wild game. A gong
show. That is a great, it was, I heard that story on Minor League Madness and I was like, that is still one of the craziest nights I've ever seen and opportunities I've been a part of, just to like watch it all unfold and just like, whoa, wow.
Yeah, that's insane. What a shit show that must have been.
It was ridiculous. And we were all sitting there like, it's a fucking preseason game. Why are we brawling? Why are we having an entire line brawl, back-to-back shifts? Like, what are we doing? Like, we play you guys tomorrow night in Adirondack. Why are we doing this?
How'd that next game go?
We won. I want to say like 6-1. I played really well. First shot of the game was a breakaway. I was like, oh, good. I thought the game, I mean, I had like 40 something saves in the game, but like, and you wouldn't have thought that with a 6-1 win. Yeah. But I made a lot of good saves and played really, really well. But it was just like, we were missing so many guys. Like, not many of their guys like got kicked out or hurt or whatever, but like Mitchie, well, they had to take him for x-rays to see if his hand was broke. Losey had the giant gash in the black eye, and he got suspended because, you know, he skated around the rink looking for the guy. So like we were missing like a lot of guys. So we had like so many just like not to say scrubs, but not our starters in there.
Yeah.
So the next night was just absolute mayhem, and it was like, okay, well, here we go.
Yeah, that's insane. That's crazy. That's an experience for sure.
It was one of the funnier, but also just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for sure. So my last question for you is what is your favorite pump up song? Like, you're trying to get a little pump in before a game, like pregame warm ups. Like, what are you listening to?
You know, I have a whole playlist for myself, but I'd say the last song, it's a really weird one, but I like to find meaning in things, and like, not, you know, that's not to say I'm, you know, some mind, you know, really thoughtful person, but things that really invoke an emotion in me that get me to feel in the right mindset, the right way. And for some reason, Macklemore's Glorious is the last song I put on before, while I'm finishing getting dressed, kind of sitting there ready to go. And I don't know what it is about it, but it just, you know, talking about how he's got another day to start again. You got a fresh start. Like, every game is a fresh slate. And, you know, no matter what you did last game, this is a new game. It's a fresh slate. And for something about that just puts me in that right mindset. Like, okay, nothing else matters until right now. Like, whatever happened last week, whatever happened that doesn't matter. Whatever happens tomorrow night doesn't matter. Right now is what matters. And for some reason that puts me in the right mindset, the right mood before going out to the game. But for most of my playlists, it's more like upbeat, kind of dance, not dance, but like upbeat music that just makes me feel good and, like, you know, gets me moving. I got the nickname in college, the Dancing Goalie, because I sit there and I sing along to the music while it's playing. It keeps me loose and relaxed. So fans would see me like bobbing my head and my shoulders and everything, be like, oh, he's dancing. So I got that nickname, and that's stuck with me even here into pro. Like, that got released, and they're like, oh, he's the Dancing Goalie. And I'm like, I'm not really dancing. I'm more singing, but we'll call it. It sticks. So, but yeah, I just try to find stuff that just keeps me fun and relaxed. I don't, you know, some guys listen to like heavy metal. Some guys listen to just straight rap. Some guys listen to, you know, like, I would almost call it like angry music that gets them into like a pissed off mindset. And it's like, I used to do that when I was in juniors and stuff. And I just found that got me too like amped up, too like, I want to just fucking murder someone, like, in that mindset. And it's like, I don't need to be that. I need to be controlled. Like, and that's where I said, I found that control, and I found that, you know, that peace in myself to be, okay, let's relax. Let's find my spots. Let's do this. Let's just take it shot by shot. And that's been the hugest, that's been the biggest advancement in my career. God, you can tell I went to Western Michigan University for 4 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Glorious is a banger. That's for sure.
It is.
It hits
I don't care what anybody says about it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But Trevor, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been a ton of fun. I really appreciate your time, and I want to wish you the best of luck going forward with next season in Kalamazoo, and maybe sometime next season I come out for a game.
Yeah, sounds good, buddy. Just let me know, and I'll try and get you a ticket.
Yeah, sounds good.